Good morning, land of YouTube. Donnie Caustic here, heading out on my morning walk. You know, I'm finding that when I focus on more of a go with the flow approach to life, things are more malleable. And I'm not so concrete or down on myself for, say, you know, one day I got to sleep a little later and I woke up a little later. And my target was 5 a.m. to wake up, but I didn't get out of bed at 5. I stayed in until 6. I'm still ahead of schedule, right? But I don't have anything to do until 8 a.m. And I do see it cutting back into something important to me, but that's okay because there's all kinds of angles and approaches I can take to life and the path that I'm on. And so when I look at them in a fluid motion, going with the flow, I see an option to make better use of the time I have, which helps me train my mind in a way of success in every situation. For instance, this morning, I get out here on the trail, and you know it's a smidge past 6 because I got out of bed an hour later than I would have preferably liked to. But whatever, you know, it felt good to lay there an extra hour. I had good dreams. I was investigating the dreams, and then, you know, I probably nodded off to sleep again real quick. Plus, I've been dealing with a lot of emotional situations with family and things in my personal life that are draining. So it's understandable. I can see where the balance here comes from. I deal with emotional things in my family, which is growth. And then I have a little bit of a side effect of not being on my A game. I just read something earlier that said if I focus on shit will grow. And I thought, it's kind of funny because it's true, but I just want to focus on it like fertilizer to help everything grow around me for a successful future for the whole entire place around me versus just me. Now, see, some people would focus on the just me mentality, and then sure, they're gonna be great, and then they leave everybody at the wayside, and there's a bunch of people down at the bottom there that they used maybe like a emotional support ladder along the way, and then just abandoned. And that could look shitty and create jealousy and all kinds of envious relationships. And then they say it's lonely at the top. I don't believe it's lonely at the top if you take everybody with you in stages, as in working on each and every instance around until everything blossoms with. So I'm looking at infinite future paths that I can travel, and I see all of these different angles, and I'm like, which one's the best? What's the shortest angle? And so that's how my mind works. It operates in that non-linear fashion. So a go with the flow approach is much more of a necessity in my current walk. And I see an option this morning. You know, I grab my first drink I grabbed a hold of was a Weird brand peach green tea. So it's weird tea. And I thought it was going to be a good topic because, you know, I'm kind of a weirdo in a good way. But I was going to correlate that to my tea, and they're actually very good. Costco had them. I'm almost out. I don't know if they still have them, but it's a good brand. It's got natural ingredients. I really like things that are natural, so to speak, or mirroring nature. And nature is kind of a crazy place. Nature tends to mirror us as best as, like, when we get a close personal relationship with ourselves, the universe kind of becomes what we believe it, or believe into it, like breathing life into existence with our thought. That's a breadcrumb. I'm not going to go into that rabbit hole for you guys. there's a lot of cool things that make up a lot of cool things. Let's just put it that way. So I'm actually blessed that I set myself up for success with a little bit more caffeine, because I really have a lot of focus coming up in a minute. That presentation is key. Half of my family I've really been excluded from and ostracized from, except for at a really little age on holidays. So I only got to meet parts of my family that, are really in the community. I would say a powerful level of intellect and wealth that has grown. Now, I was removed from all of that because of my father's choices. And his choices to stay clinged like handcuffed, because maybe he just didn't have what it was inside of him to, or he didn't have really anybody that was strong enough to stand up to him and really show him a guiding light like a father would have at a certain point, to keep him away from his addiction or his addictive substance that really, perverted his mind a lot and caused him a lot of harm. So he had like a love affair with marijuana his whole life, and it perverted him. It perverted his mind. A lot of people go through life and there's something that will fuck with them. And it's like their little beast that they got to tame, or they don't make it, right? Right now, currently in the situation I see around me in this area, tons of people are dropping like flies from fentanyl, all kinds of bullshit out here. You see the aftermath of all the methamphetamine cleaning up, which was all the homeless people just struggling and dying to go out and collect cans and shit to get their drug of choice. Thank God they're cleaning up, but I don't like the method. It would have been better to hire teams of people that want to volunteer to go through the town, like, 40, 50, 60, 80 people in groups, and go and do sponsored cleanup routes and just attack this place. If we really want to clean it up, that'd be the best fucking idea in the world. Just groups to clean. Walking, 60 people groups, canvassing areas, staged during a 2-week routine. We could have this whole entire place cleaned up if we really wanted to do something like that, right? But for the time being, what we got is people addicted to meth, making sure there's not one can of recycling on the ground. And there's others that I see with cars full of trash, and they just pick up everything because they're so addicted to picking shit up off the ground, tweaked out of their mind on meth. I see it as pain, but you know what, whatever, to each their own. They're in their own little form of heaven, right? It sucks. Most of those individuals I've talked to, fuck, man. They're like, I like what I'm doing. Okay. In a personal relationship with a few, my mother, for instance, she has had such a severe addiction with meth and gone through the ringer with emotional imbalance and problems and abusive shit constantly. And then she vents to me, and then, she's like, oh no, I'm fine. And it's because she's high that she says that. And I'm like, Mom, you're not fine. You've got this, and this, and this. And I'm not just collecting all these things to throw back in her face. I'm reminding her of things that she's illusioned in her mind. Like she's just chose to forget because she's so high. And then, I came up with a battle plan a while back to confront things in a more direct method to see results. For a long time as a young man, I was struggling with different methods to try to affect people around me like I had learned. Now, some may say it's not polite to go and affect people directly around you. I say it's my fucking family. I care about them. There's a movie or a TV show, Sandra Bullock was in one of them, where, it's like an intervention type movie where they go and they directly affect the people they love hooked on drugs or something like that. That's an intervention. So in my personal life, I have staged several with people I care about. And now I found a more direct approach to each and every one of these characters. And I've seen motherfucking results, people. clap for me. Don't. I have seen my mother right now she's got 3.5 months sober from meth for the first time in her life. She really broke down. She really came clean. And she's been going through emotional waves in stages, in sittings. And she's letting out a lot of built up bullshit that she went through her life. And it's only proper, it's warranted. It's a lot of work for me. I mean, emotionally, I'm a very strong individual. I have a very strong emotional background right now. I was always very good at taking shit like a doormat. I mean, that's what I was made for in this life. And so I finally learned how to translate that into like a fiery, angry passion towards success. All of that bullshit is now my motivation for success in life in every angle. And I'm walking that path daily. My father, I had to confront him with a bit more of a direct approach because that motherfucker was so stubborn he was almost dead. So I got into his head real quick and I confronted him. I said, listen, you stubborn old motherfucker, you're gonna fucking die if you don't get your ass to the hospital. I'm tired of your bullshit. Next day he's in the hospital. Now he's about 4 days sober with his eyes open in some kind of weird infancy in his mind that I've been through several fucking times, like 8, 9 times. So I'm very practiced at something like what he's facing. I can be there for him as a guide and can point him in the right way. He's got a moment of clarity. I'll see where this goes. I have a lot of faith in the fact that he's a very stubborn motherfucker. And if he's committed to something, like he has been his whole life, he can fucking make it. And I say, if I can make it, he can. He just hasn't had the proper love. In which case I found out what it looked like, and it looked like what he was trying to give out as love, which was do as I say, not as I do. And then this angry fucking bullshit, right? So parts of this plan that I had as an attack from my father, because I did attack it, it looked a little fucked up. But moving past all of that and rolling with the punches, so to speak, and going with the flow, I'll de-escalate my level of energy and focus back on my walk currently, because during this amiable phase where things are fluid, I have an option. I have a family trade that I'm very well experienced at. I don't want to see that go under. I'd like to see it transformed to something else, something much greater than it could have ever been with him in charge because of his substance abuse. And if you look at anybody living under a substance, their lives are clearly not perfect. If you have a sober mind and you're hearing me in this message, look around. It's like these people are blinded with delight to some kind of illusionary land that they're living in. And we feel bad for them, I think, as sober individuals, because we can look at them and go, man, it must suck to be where you're at. Well, I've been there. I have a fucking shit ton of experience, thank God, because the other route I could have took in life, I would never have had any of that experience. I would have been an officer, and I would have been very prejudiced towards individuals with substance abuse due to my upbringing that I learned from watching my father's fucking behavior. And I would have taken it out on every single one of those substance abusers in such a harsh way that I don't think it would have helped them. It probably would have only hurt the situation. So, with what I've gone through in my life, thank God, I have a shit ton of experience to bring to the table in a lot of different arenas. I have been through the fucking ringer in so many different angles and layers rapidly into an adult of 38 years that most people's heads would spin. I'm not saying that other people haven't gone down the scale further. I've heard it. I've seen it. I have also been privileged to have the path I'm on, which is a unique path. And others are unique also. Everybody's got a different story to tell, right? Well, on my walk this morning, I realized that I don't have quite enough time to get all the way to Sebastopol and walk back by my 8 o'clock appointment that I need to meet as a guideline for my walk, ending short, or I can make the most use of the time. So currently, I'm looking at transforming a family business from a shit heap into something respectable that's going to bring community back to the community and dominate an industry, because I've already seen it before. I've seen it work, I've seen it applicable, and how I'm going to adjust this is finding financial backing within my family on my father's side, and taking that to the table. Taking that kind of idea to the table is, well, it's going to be a very good presentation, hopefully. I don't have much of a relationship with my uncle. I am going to be as presentable as possible. I do have a wee bit of a scattered mind sometimes, and I like to go from, one topic to the next rapidly. And most can't hang with that kind of a mindset, especially not males, for one. Males have a one-box idea, one idea at a time, please. I don't have enough focus to follow you. I see that shit all the time. And you know what? More than anything, when I get like that with certain individuals that are like angry individuals, they do get angry quick. And they don't understand. And they're like, you're all over the place, man. And I'm like, well, it's just because you really can't follow that you're saying that, and you're an angry individual. And they're like, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you? My mind thinks different. Whatever. I gotta accept the fact that most simple-minded individuals need one topic at a time, especially males. It's just how the male mind works. Am I saying that I'm not quite male? Well, some of us are more balanced than others, and I'm more balanced in a natural way of, I love the female. I want to mate with the female. I want to mate with every female I see, but I have discretion. I'm not going to mate with somebody unless I'm there to raise the child, because the child and myself deserves it. I deserve to shape my child's future in a most beneficial and positive way for the whole of humanity. Because if I just made a bunch of babies and left, they'd run around and not even know who the fuck they are. And they'd wonder why all this weird shit's happening to them. Case in point, a lot of my father's problems stemmed from, first off, his addiction problem. And then he lost his father at a young age. So he really didn't have a guide to grow up with. As a good manager, I believe you need a manager to show you, right? Thank God I learned from everything around me, because I have that mindset. I look at everything around me as a life lesson. So if you study the game of life in every respect, like I do, then what happens as a beautiful outcome is shit just falls together sometimes. I'm not saying that that's going to happen for everybody. I'm not saying or promising anything. I have a very, very clear, blessed head on my shoulders in a way that a lot of people don't even see it as clear, because there's no way they can perceive it. I hear that in a response from someone when I go too quick and they have no way to correlate with what I'm saying or even keep up, so they're scrambled and then they lash out with anger. Okay, I can scramble people. Woohoo! Big whoop. My focus is a determination to level with people quickly so I don't scramble them. And then, if they're not really part of my direct path to, help motivate towards a better future, and they're already in a good position, I'm going to leave them the fuck alone, because you know what? They're already in their good path. They're on something that they earned. They don't need me to come into their life and redirect the fuck out of them with a bunch of information that they didn't even deserve, possibly. I say possibly, but then they're in my path. So, you know, there's a weird, respectful thing that can go on. Like, I just observe. And then if I hear something that triggers me into something, I can react. And that's kind of like saying that's what, oh, that's a good way to say that's what my God is. It's a need to react. And I'm doing my best to observe and react appropriately in certain settings, because I would love to see this whole world change around me. And I am in smaller measures right now because I'm not trying to overdo it. If I overdo it, my energy level plummets, and I actually see the negative effects with my current path. So I have to stay focused. And what I planned this morning with the deficit of time and my 8 o'clock appointment is to make the most of it in a brief presentation to my uncle by walking to Sebastopol like I normally do. And his office is right there at the end of the trail, basically, like another 2 blocks, if that, right? Isn't it cool that instead of doing a double walk there and back, I decided that I am going to walk there, see if I can briefly meet with him. If everything lines up, he's going to be in the office. I can briefly meet to pitch something. I wrote a brief guidelined business plan last night, so I did a minor bit of homework. I didn't do exactly what I needed to do, which would have been projecting numbers and everything. And it's okay. At this point, it's just a brief pitch, right? Because what I'm looking for is not help. I'm looking for capital. And I'm looking for a like-minded individual to hear the return that will be guaranteed based on previous numbers with a shitty individual running the business. Like, I say shitty because, you know, it kind of was a shit show there. Things were dirty, filthy, shit physically in the place with dogs and running around and shit. That's not how you run a business. I'm sorry. I've looked at real business, and that's not at all how a real business is run. I've looked back in the past at a really good, reputable business in the area. I know what that is, and that design I'm bringing back to Santa Rosa because, you know, Dennis was a very, very brilliant man, and he was also the glue that held the fucking place together. Then he, you know, unfortunately, my friend Dennis, I say my friend because I've had conversations with him, and he was a very intelligent man, and he knew that I was kind of very intelligent as well, but in a fucked up situation. And sometimes it sucks to be able to spot intelligence and know that you got to leave them in that situation until, well, they find their way out, because that's the best way to grow and learn. So there's a quote: the greatest of teachers won't hesitate to leave you there by yourself, chained to fate. And then I look at, what the fuck is fate anyway? Is that some kind of pre-designed measure from some ultimate architect that have, you know, designed all of this predating everything? You can look at a biblical approach, and you can look at an accurate history. If the biblical approach is that the book or the collection of books, which is Bible, if those are just really an accurate depiction of history and what happened, then what do we have to look at? And then what happened prior to that? What other ancient civilizations had different spins on the same kind of theme, connecting to the divine? Huh. And then what's the divine? What does the divine look like? What would the shape of it be? So, not going too far down into that, because I like to break things down to the smallest detail. I'm going to make the best use of this walk today, going with the flow, and I'm going to take a fucking Uber back. So that way I still make my 8 o'clock appointment. And, more to the point, I think as a health measure and an example, the fact that I walked to my appointment without making it and showed up, that is something of value, showing disciplined exercise that I'm already doing without even bringing it up. Maybe it will get brought up. Maybe I'm intentionally doing it this way so it will be brought up, and I'm pre-setting the stage for success in a lot of ways. I like to do that. I'm pretty much designing success as I go rapidly, and it looks like going with the flow. So I would encourage everybody to look at doors in front of them. Instead of different decisions that you think you're going to make, look at doors. And each doorway leads to either a backwards approach, going into the past, right? And you stay there, or you look at the other one that's a beneficial one, and you walk through the one that's progress. Now, sometimes progress can be painful because learning and growing pains kind of go hand in hand. As we become more knowledgeable, our current circumstances and realities change around us. With that, knowledge is power. So, the more knowledge we have, the more power we have. And now, what do we do with that power? Are we going to be selfish with it and end up in a fucking hole sometime later? Because a lot of people that say it's lonely at the top, they just have this big gaping hole they don't know how to fill. Is it predestined? Is it predestined? I don't know. I see a big option for soul growth at the finest level with every single instance. And maybe it was just that somebody right there, they needed a nudge in the right direction. And nobody was willing to do it because they were just already a headstrong, powerful motherfucker, and they made their point. Then they're still trying to fill this infinite hole, right? I see it as painful to observe all of this. It is painful to me because I've been through a lot of pain. So I would like to try and do my best to practice harm reduction in every arena of life. And as I do that, it's going to rock the boat some. Most people, they can't really handle the truth. And that's the statement. You can't handle the truth. And it's true because most people can't. And they live based on fear. And fear is a powerful fucking drug. Trust me, people. So many people are addicted to fear. It's a fucking scary thing. And then the statement is, there isn't anything to fear but fear itself. And that's a freeing mentality. So as I walk through my path in life, I have carved away, eliminating one fear after the other for a long time now, to find an ultimate freedom within my own space. At least half of my walk, normally, I get to observe nature without focusing on my phone and venting what's on my mind. I kind of feel like a volcano, and that's why the phone gets in my face. Because if I don't vent what's on my mind, in most cases, in most instances, I don't really have anybody to talk to on a deep level. I do run into a few here and there to where I can get deeper and deeper. And it's as if I'm seeking that, so I find it. And as I look for a deeper meaning in every respect and every angle, I identify with and find those deeper meanings in conversations. And part of it could be unfair because in reality, I have such a power within myself currently that some of these individuals could just be completely unaware of what's going on due to my powerful presence and intention. If they're super weak-minded or on drugs, they might not even remember the conversation. Literally, so what I have to do is focus on finding the key players that add input. I have a group of individuals I walk with now, and they're very intelligent, and they offer feedback, and they offer constructive criticism. And my friend Jessica, her hat says intrinsic motivation. And I like that because there's a motivating factor in life that can really transform everybody. And I'd like to point out that it starts from within everybody. So everybody's really got their own power. And it, you may say, if you're hearing this, no, there's no way. I would say nay. There's always a will, there's always a way. And if there's a will, there's a way, and there's a way to find freedom. And if everybody really wanted to be free, well, they can pick up their brain, put it back in their head and follow me, huh? There's leaders in this life, and there's followers. There's worker bees, and there's king bee. There's a chief, and there's the Indians. Now the mentality is that all of that other shit has to be in place in layers. Otherwise the whole structure goes down, right? And then I see a different reality of barter. And I would love to see some kind of barter system come back. I had it in my head for a long time. Like you build me a $150,000 boat, I build you a $150,000 home. It's equal trade. We find those trades. That'd be cool. Then the economy kind of takes a dive bomb, and then, well, the money's not worth anything anymore. And then everybody gets naked, walks around on walks in commune with nature. Now it sounds like a hippie commune, feel like nudist colony shit. And so we're all walking around naked because we're not afraid anymore, right? And we eat from this garden because we plant more food than inanimate, like, fuck landscaping ideas that don't involve food. I say every single plant that's planted that's beautiful could have been a food item. And if we were all trained to eat that stuff as the produce went up, so you have more produce everywhere, right? More people eat there. Up, bye-bye supermarkets on the produce side. Supermarkets still exist for different reasons, but produce is everywhere, readily abundant, if everybody had a garden. That's everybody. I mean, like, you just take an hour every day in the morning to tend to your garden. And your garden, it doesn't just support you, it's community. So if everybody in a community had a garden that's 10 by 20 or whatever space they have, for that note. And clearly the people that don't have the space can't have a garden, but they could put up a planter bin. We could make it mandatory by rule. That'd be cool. So the idea would be that would be community within, if you see an item, you have it. And then as you're out on your walk, because your garden was picked clean, and you see something out on your walk, and you just take what you need. You don't get selfish and take all of it. You just, every day you take your necessity of a meal. Now, if there's enough being mass produced all year round, in which case certain vegetables don't grow all year round, so there's still that market, because supermarkets kind of artificially control the weather in a way, as in we don't know what things are in season anymore. We just see them in the grocery store all year round. So it's kind of a falsity. It's a falsehood. And supermarkets also direct the farmers. They control what the farmers make. And then you end up with a lot of high fructose corn syrup bullshit because, well, there's so much goddamn corn, and we can take sugar out of it. We can also make gasoline out of it. So in any case, I'm not getting into all this other shit. I'm just talking about, a path and observing things and my path and the nature of my mind and how it works, and seeing the angles I have in front of me and going with the flow. I would love to see some kind of utopian, harmonistic, communistic gardenscape out here in humanity. I don't think humanity's ready for that shit. Probably only work on a piece of property with a bunch of hippies. Ha! That like to be naked. There's the mindset, right? Find my group of hippies that like to be naked and go move on to a commune, Donnie. I'm just fucking around. Maybe that's part of my future. I don't know. That might be. Then I'd be a real weirdo, huh? Oh, well, a lot of times people need to have a culture shock to wake the fuck up. So if you're hearing anything I say, and it doesn't make sense, and you would like to ask me about it, leave a comment. Talk to me. I'll address you. I see the comments later. I'm not always on top of it, but I'll see the comment pop up in my email, and I can either directly respond, or, you know, if you personally know me, in which case most of my Facebook people and every single one of my YouTube people that are subscribers have known me personally. Now, it's not to a point where it's getting out of control yet. But if you know me and you would like to pick my brain or ask a question or have any kind of interaction, I'm available most of the time by phone. And then if you're in my path, I will make the time for you. Isn't that cool? It's not like I'll see if I have the time and then I'll look at it. No, if you're in my path, I will make the time. Now, I can't do that for everybody all the time, so it's going to be like a case-by-case basis. So, if you're going to pick my brain to fuck with me, I would shy away from that. If you're going to pick my brain to grow, I will fucking focus on helping growth. Why? Because I love you. Why? Because I love me. Isn't that cool? If you really love yourself inside, then you're going to find a way to love everybody else. And that's the truth of it, people. It takes a lot of self-work to get to where I'm at, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Nay, I say it's so possible. I would love to bring everybody with me. And the sad part is everybody's only going to get to certain levels anyway. There's, you know, a fate chained to everybody's wrist. And it's like a time clock. It's also experience and soul growth. And there's literal soul contracts that people have. And, you know, there's some really, really deep spiritual shit that I know and I'm privileged access to in the spiritual realm as well as the reality realm, knowledge-wise, that I've studied. I've studied the shit out of it, people. So, if you're remotely interested in growing and you want to interact with me, go ahead. Leave a comment. If you watched this video all the way through in detail, then I've just consumed 40 minutes of your life almost, for a good reason. There's something that you heard that was attractive. There's some reason that you're watching. Maybe it's because you don't like me. If you don't like me, you're still watching. That means you're learning something. Even if you don't like it, you're learning. And why do you not like it? What did I say that offended you the most? And then why do you feel that way? Let's look at that. And then wonder, what about myself, if I'm in your shoes, whoever's not liking whatever I say, what about myself do I really need to change? Because a lot of times we go through life and it's the things that we identify and look outside and see in others that we hate. It's the things we can't change the most within us. In which case, I don't hate anything anymore. I just find direction in other expressions. So as I look at these expressions, I say, okay, well, which? And it's like a really kind of a discernment move, because who deserves it the most? Now, if somebody's going to meet me and be rude, that's probably a red flag immediately. I don't really want to fuck with them. But maybe they need the most help. But it's not my place. If I just met them randomly and they're like that, that's not in my path to change or alter. That's their path to deal with. Have fun. Stay on your walk. You're going to find out what you got going on when you hit a wall. A lot of people need to hit a wall before they can find out that, you know what, there was a way to go through it. And you can work through your fears and pain and suffering in life, but you can't really do that if you don't have it. So I can't shortcut that for everybody. There's certain instances where I've plowed into people's realities and it's created something good. I am going to probably wrap this up at about the 45-minute mark. So good morning. At the midway point of my walk, I decided to, like I was talking about earlier, I ventured to my uncle's shop. He opens at 8, so I had a free half hour being ahead of time, right? I found Retrograde Roasters here in Sebastopol, looks like they have a lot of very good quality products. And in my traditional flair, I went in and asked for something random. So I don't know what I'm gonna have yet. I expect it's gonna be good because my nose found the place through their back door being open. I even tried to get into the spiritual spot right here. Spiritual books and fine tea, which just sounds amazing to me because I love tea and I like spirituality. So they go hand in hand. I have a cup of tea every night, well, most nights, because it's a really good practice to gain minerals that I normally wouldn't have. And with that in mind, I'm gonna enjoy my surprise breakfast in just a minute, and hopefully my uncle will show up and I'll be able to have a chat with him real quick about the direction of a business venture that I'm not looking for a hand out as much as capital and family support, whereas it's going to be an investment on both sides. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm not going to put that on camera. I'm going to tell you what my sandwich is now. Oh, I knew it was a sandwich, see? Cool. Looks like a spinach, egg, cheddar, English muffin. Very tasty, very lovely. I'm gonna enjoy it. It's a little hot though. I'm not gonna burn my mouth. So, yeah, these are gonna get all smashed together. I guess I can put this one in the middle, and then the tail end of it would be actually earlier. That's funny, right? I'll just pick and choose the order when I make it. And, I like flowing through life with a good positive mental attitude and directional focus of like an up and out mentality that every day is going to be better than the last. With that positive mental attitude, I bring to the table a lot of experience in a lot of different arenas. And collectively in my head, I string together all these options to see what is the most beneficial outcome for my current circumstances. Now, within relation to that, I have a very large pool of resources to reach into. I'm 38 years old, and I have been through a lot, so I'm going to use that. Okay, so I'm back. I did have to navigate away from my video to pick someone's brain real quick on my trail, and it was worthwhile, very beneficial. So I always see options in life to, go with the flow, navigate away from something that we think is permanent in order to be very beneficial in life. So if we have, concrete motives or disciplines towards a bigger goal, so we make this decision that is going to be coming to fruition by having a vision, right? We have a vision of what we see, and then we watch how it comes to fruition through direct means of applicating discretionary will and passion towards that subject. A lot of times that's a real effortless process if we just flow into the right channels. So with that little tidbit right at the end of the video, I bid you adieu. I say, with love and light, go outside and infect the world and lighten up the world with a smile, boys and girls, because everybody needs more love right now. Peace.